Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. So we're going to be doing a fire flow today. It is going to be all about the core and the booty. So get yourself a glass of water if you don't have one already, because you're going to want it. Facebook, I know that there is kind of a wavering with the audio where it gets quieter and louder. That's just Facebook Live. So I tried getting a new microphone and everything. It doesn't do anything to change that. So sorry about that. I'll try to be as loud as I can. If you are going to be listening to what I'm listening to, it is 12 March 2020 on my Spotify account. And if you have a block, you'll want to have it. Hey, Ross. Hey, Mel. So, yeah, we're going to get started laying on our backs. And as always, just remembering that if you have an injury or if you are pregnant or if you are new to yoga, especially we're going to be doing kind of a challenging class today, just taking breaks when you need it, modifying anything that you need. We're going to be doing some stuff for the booty with balancing. I'm going to be using probably this dresser to kind of help myself balance on my left side. So finding yourself a chair if you need to, or going near a wall so that you have something to balance on. And it should look like I'm you, like if you were looking at yourself in a mirror. So as I'm using this arm, it should be your right arm. So whatever side you're working on, it's like a reflection of it, okay? If you can have your mat long edge facing whatever you're watching me on, that would be ideal. If you can't, that's okay. You'll just might have to turn around a couple of times. So find your way over onto your mat. Go ahead and lay down. And make sure my music is right. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna start facing the left side of my mat. Feet flat down on the ground. And we're just going to take a moment to get settled in before we start the music. So if you have the ability, if you're listening to what I'm listening to, just wait a moment. If you're listening to something else, that's fine. You can start it whatever suits you. Just taking your hands onto your belly. Let's take a couple of long inhales in through the nose and exhaling out through the mouth. So deeply in, try to fill from your belly all the way up into your collarbones. As you exhale, release everything out through the mouth with a nice sigh. And we'll do a couple more like that. So just deeply in through the nose, try to fill all the way up. As you exhale, releasing out. And we'll do one more with an exhale out through the mouth. And then starting to bring those yogic breaths in. So fill your belly, mid-chest, then your collarbones. As you exhale, we're going to start to pull up through our pelvic floor, sending the lowest part of your belly down in towards your spine, and then navel reaching up towards your ribs so everything's coming in and upward to press the air out of your lungs. Inhaling again to expand. Exhaling to release. And just doing that a few more times. So you want to kind of try to keep this pulling up through the pelvic floor as you exhale through all of our practice. There will definitely be times where the long, smooth inhales and exhales might not feel possible. Don't worry about keeping that long, smooth breath as you're moving your body kind of in a strenuous way. But we will take time throughout our practice to tune back in with this long, slow breath. Just kind of connecting back with the body. Take a moment here, see how you're feeling, if there's anywhere that feels tight or sore, or if you have an injury, just reminding yourself to be kind to that part of your body, paying attention to how it feels as we move through our practice. together at your heart center. Take a moment to set an intention for yourself. If you'd like to use the one I'm using today, I'm going to use I am strong. So just repeating that in your mind. If you have a different intention that you like, a goal or a mantra, just repeating it in your mind in the present tense. And then taking your hands, rubbing them together, create some heat in your palms. And then just take the heel of your hand, one on each of your eyelids. One more long, deep inhale here. As you exhale, release those hands. You can start your music. And we're going to start out just by pressing into the heels, squeezing the glutes, pull your belly in. Start to lift up just a tiny bit. So you should just be able to bring your hands underneath your booty. And then we'll come back down. So a few times like this. Keep your gaze up at the ceiling, squeezing in the glutes, and lowering back down. So focus here on how your hips are doing with that lift and lower. So you might notice one tries to come up faster or slower than the other. We really want to focus on bringing them both up evenly. So just doing this a few times. The next time you have yourself lifted, let's just hold here. Notice what's happening in your low back, in your belly, in your glutes. Really pressing into those heels. And then if it feels okay from here, we're going to come down. See if you can bring your right ankle across your left thigh. We're going to press into the left foot, and we're going to do the same thing, just with the one leg. So lifting and lowering just a little bit. Don't come too high here. We're really focusing on the glutes rather than that back bend. Seeing what's happening with the knee on that left leg. Try not to let it dip inward or outward. Keeping it straight forward. Hopefully feeling a little burn. The next time you're lifted, let's hold. Really focus on pressing into the heel, squeezing in the glute. Breathing here. And then we'll come back down, release that leg, switch over to the other side. So same thing, squeezing the glute, pressing into your heels, start to lift and lower. Seeing what's going on in the hips and the knee, try to keep them in a nice line, not wavering in or out. Long, slow, steady breath. Just seeing if this side feels maybe a little different than the other. Maybe it's not fatiguing as quickly, or maybe it is fatiguing more quickly. The next time you have that hip lifted, go ahead and hold there. And then as you exhale, release down. Just start to windscreen wiper your knees side to side, staying there for a moment. And then we're going to come back to center. I'm going to have you draw your knees into your chest. Just circle them around a little. Seeing how it feels in your low back. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring this into the core. So we're going to come to center, and we're going to start to rock ourselves back. So you can bring your hands onto the ground, you can hold onto your knees. We're gonna rock forward a little and then back. And then I want you to come up and hold it. So roll the shoulders back, pull it through the belly, even maybe trying to get that little bit of arch in your back. And then we're gonna come back and up again. So if it's all right, you can release your arms from the back of your legs and maybe hold them at your heart center. If you're okay with it, you can bring the legs really far back over your head as you rock. The next time you come up, we're gonna lift the right leg, bring your left hand to your right foot or the right leg, and we're gonna kind of twist, and then come back, and other side. So as you come up, right hand to left leg, finding a bit of a twist, and then center, and just keep going a few times like this, really focusing on that core. The next time that we come up, we're gonna hold, bend your right leg, lengthen it back up, bend your left leg, lengthen it back up, rock yourself back. So you can use your hands to help you here if you need to. You can keep the legs bent. We're gonna do 2 more like this. So your hands will be back here. Last time. And then go ahead and take the soles of the feet together. Adjust yourself as you need to. Long breath in, just lean forward slightly. So from here, go ahead and take yourself so you're facing the long side of your mat. Soles of the feet are gonna come onto the ground. We're just gonna bring the knees side to side a few times. And I'm gonna have you try something a little bit complicated. So if you wanna watch first, we're gonna come to where our knees are pointing over to the left. Your right foot is gonna step over. So it's pointing over towards the left side. We're gonna press ourselves up into kneeling. You'll adjust that back foot, squeeze your hips forward. If it feels good, you can tuck the back toes and find a lunge. And then we're gonna come back down, adjust that left foot so you can slowly sit back down. Right foot's gonna come back behind you. And then we'll switch to the other side. So the knees will come over to the right. Left foot's gonna step forward. You can use your hands to help to adjust yourself up into a kneeling lunge. You can pause here or tuck your back toes, find a higher lunge, and then come back down, adjust, coming into that seat, bring the foot back, and roll on over to the other side. Trying it again. So bringing your right foot around, hands can come to the floor if you need to. Adjust yourself into a lunge. You can tuck your back toes, press into your heel, lift, and then lower back down, adjust that back foot, come into a seat, right leg back behind you, bring yourself over. Last time, left foot over towards the right, sit yourself up, squeeze, tuck your back toes, maybe you want to lift, and we'll come back down, adjust, sit, and then find your way all the way over to the left, and adjust yourself, finding all fours. Start to move through cat and cow. When it feels good from here, we're gonna come back through center, tuck the toes, send the hips up and back. Keep your knees bent a lot. I want your booty back, your chest pressing, and we'll just pedal the legs a few times here. On your next exhale, we're gonna take our feet nice and wide, walk your hands halfway back. Chest and hips dipping down towards the ground for a nice bear, and then back up. So taking that a few times, just getting those hips warmed up. You can slowly start to bring the hands back a little if it feels all right. And then if you like to find a Malasana at the back of your mat, just shift around a little. Maybe pressing those knees open. Ooh, I'm gonna fall. On your next exhale, send those hips up nice and high. Adjust your feet, find your way back to downward facing. We're gonna roll ourselves forward. So bend the knees, press into the feet to roll up forward into your plank. Take yourselves down onto your knees, elbows hugging in. Let's find our first chaturanga. Reaching up with the chest. And then press yourself back, downward facing dog. We're gonna do the same thing again. So bend the knees deep, roll yourself forward, coming towards your plank. Knees to the ground, elbows in, chaturanga. Inhale to lift. Exhale down, press back. All the way to downward facing. One more time, roll it forward. Come onto the knees, elbows in. Find your chaturanga, upward facing dog or cobra. And press all the way back. Downward facing, holding here. Looking forward, walk your feet up to the top of your mat. We'll lift up halfway, long through your spine. Exhale, folding. Inhale, roll all the way up. We're going to go straight to sun salutation B. So sinking down into the hips. Look down, you're trying to send your heels into the ground. You should be able to see most of your foot. See if you can sink a little bit lower. Really squeeze in those glutes. As you exhale, fold it down. We'll come halfway along through the spine, planting your hands, step your way back to your plank, move through chaturanga on your knees or not, upward facing dog or cobra, pull in, find downward facing. You're gonna lift up your left leg, looking forward, step all the way up, find warrior one. So back foot's gonna plant down, we'll lift, squeeze your inner thighs towards each other, press into your front heel. On your exhale, hands down, step your way back to plank. Move through your chaturanga, upward facing dog or cobra, back to downward facing. We're gonna do the left leg again, so take it up nice and high. Step all the way forward, plant your back foot down. Inhale to reach, finding that warrior one. From here, we're gonna open ourselves up into goddess. Sinking as low as you can. So really focus on getting those knees out and your booty's going straight down towards the ground. Starting to squeeze, maybe move around a little here. And then we're going to turn to the right side of the mat into a chair pose. So you're going to maybe have to adjust that right foot. Step yourself closed straight into chair. On your next exhale, fold it down. We'll lift up halfway, long through your spine. Exhale to fold. Planting your hands, step your way back to your plank. Chaturanga if you're taking it. Back to downward facing. Right leg's gonna lift, take it up nice and high. And step it all the way forward, finding your warrior one. So same thing as on the other side. Squeeze that back hip forward. On your exhale, hands down to the ground. Let's step to plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog or cobra, back to downward facing. Right leg again, take it high, and step all the way forward, back into your warrior one. Press into your front heel. Just like on the other side, we're going to open from here into our goddess. So open your hips up. Sinking yourself down nice and low. Try to really squeeze in those glutes. See if you can come a little bit lower. And then we're going to come into chair over on the left side of the mat. So when it feels good, you're going to close this leg up. Whoop. Riding your way over to the left side, holding your chair pose. And this time we're going to take some little chair squats. So pull your belly in, hands can come to your hips. We're going to squeeze, Really squeeze that booty forward, sink back down. Really focus on getting that glute engaged. Just like in those bridges earlier, make sure your hips are coming up at the same time. Take one more here. And then we're gonna hold in our chair pose. See if you can come a little bit lower. On your exhale, fold it down. We'll lift halfway, long through the spine. Exhale, plant your hands, step your way back to plank. Move through your vinyasa. And back to downward facing, holding here. Feet are gonna come nice and wide. Walk your hands back towards them. Start to bend into the knees. Find your way into Malasana, back of the mat. So if you've been to class with me in person, you've maybe done this with me before. So we're going to really focus on keeping the heels pressing into the ground if you have them into the ground. So if they're off the ground, that's fine. As you come up, you'll press your heels into the ground. But we're going to start by just coming up part way, squeezing those glutes. Get some strength in the legs, and we're going to come up to standing. So press yourself up, and then come up onto the toes. Sink the heels back down. Sink yourself down nice and slow. Same thing again. So you're going to press into the heels, come up part way, so you're really engaging through the legs, and all the way up. Then onto the toes. All the way back down. We're going to do one more time like that. So coming up part way, squeeze, and then lift, 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 all the way up. And all the way back down. Taking your hands down to the floor, let's walk ourselves out. Find your way back into your plank, chaturanga if you like. And back to downward facing. Left leg's gonna lift. On your exhale, bring the knee into the chest and all the way back up. So really try to round that back as far as you can, taking the chest as far from the floor as possible to make space for your leg. The next time you come forward, step that foot all the way up. Back foot flat, find your way into your warrior one. So we're going to do a little bit of balance here. So just like I said before, you can use a wall or furniture if you need it. We're going to come from here into warrior three. So squeeze that back hip forward, shift yourself into your warrior three. So if you need to hold on to something, you can. Pull in through your core, try to get your back nice and flat. If you need to, your leg can come down and your shoulders up. We're going to bring the back toes down. Find your way back to your warrior one. Focus on keeping that front leg nice and strong as you shift forward again. Your glutes should be squeezing. And then all the way back. All the way forward again. Trying to keep both hips square to the ground. Using that glute on the left leg. So my left glute is weaker than my right, and it tends to not engage when it's supposed to. That's why I'm using my furniture here to really focus on getting it stable. We'll take one more. So as you come forward, holding here. And then we're going to come into a nice crescent lunge from this position. So your toes will come down to the ground, your heels straight up. Lifting, squeeze your inner thighs towards each other. Make sure your front glute is engaged. Weights in your heel. If it's not burning already, it's about two hands can stay above the head or they can come to your hips. We're going to sink down part way and back up. Focus on keeping that front knee pointing forward. Don't let it dip in. One more here. And then hands down, all the way to the floor. Adjust your front leg, shift yourself, find a half split. Woo! Shake it around a little. So hopefully your breath is quickened a little bit. So we're gonna take this time here to try to slow it down. So as long and deep of inhales and exhales as you can. When it feels good for you, we're gonna shift that front knee forward again. Right toes are gonna come back behind you. Walk yourself over to the side so you're like in a kneeling warrior two. We're just gonna take a couple of times to sink in and back out. Try to keep this knee pointing straight out to the side. Maybe bringing that intention back into your mind while we're here. When it feels good, we're gonna walk that left foot in a little bit, sit back down onto your right heel if it's all right with you. Bring your left elbow into your left knee and let's just stretch that right arm up. So we're not quite done working this side. It's definitely gonna burn here. So when it feels good, we're gonna come back up. I'm just gonna adjust myself so I can stay in frame. Right hand's gonna come down to the ground. We're gonna find a nice side plank. So try to get a good 90-degree angle between your arm and your side. This top leg is gonna lift. You can keep the bottom leg right under you like this. Or if you want a little bit more, you can step it back and lift up. We're gonna pulse that top leg. So if you're inside plank and you're like, oh no, what did I do? Like I'm kind of thinking, come back down, pulsing here. See if you can bring the heel back behind you a little. And then we're gonna hold, reach the top arm over. If you're still in that side plank, I commend you, but you can come down onto the knee. We're gonna bring that knee and elbow towards each other in front of you. Lengthen back out. In and out. Really try to focus on these obliques. Ooh. 3 more times. And then bring that foot down, take your hand down, lower yourself all the way onto your right side. Grab hold of your left foot. Give yourself a little quad stretch here. And then when it feels good, releasing that leg, roll onto your belly. Press yourself up, find your way into downward facing. Take a moment, pedal out through the legs. So we gotta do the other side, and then we'll do a couple other things for strength before we go into our deep stretching. So we'll see if I can remember everything we did. Just shift around in the hips a little bit, see how they feel. And then we're gonna bring our right leg up, take it nice and high. And we'll start with those knee tucks. So knee into the chest and back up. You wanna get as much space from the floor to your chest as you can. So really round in the back, crunching through that front body. The next time you come forward, go ahead and step that foot up, back foot's flat, find warrior one. Breathe in here, press into your front heel, get nice and strong through that front leg. So we're going to do those balances. I'm going to try to adjust myself where I don't kick a wall. So your hands can stay up over your head. You can take them to your heart. You can take them to your hips. We're going to shift our weight. Try to keep this front knee pointing forward the whole time. As you come into your warrior three, hold on to something if you need to. Really focus on closing that left hip down towards the ground and squeeze that right leg. When it feels good, slowly, slowly tap back down. And we'll do 3 more times. So press into your front heel, get that glute engaged, and shift yourself forward. Try to press your left hip down. Hold on to something if you need to. Gently coming back. Woo. 2 more times. Shifting forward. So if you're opening up through your hip, you're not going to be using the glute as much as you need to. So really try to keep everything closed down. Taking it back down. Woo. And we'll do 1 more time. Shifting it forward. And then the toes are going to tap this time, finding a nice crescent lunge. Squeeze your inner thighs towards each other. You should be pressing into your front heel. You should feel the burn. Arms can stay above the head, or you can take them down to your hips. We're just going to lower partway down and back up. A few times. Really squeeze those inner thighs towards each other. Press into your heel of that front foot. You should feel it in your glute. Try not to let your knee dip out to the side or dip in. Couple more. This next time, you can lower yourself down, hands to the floor. Oh, straight on your front leg. Swiggle around a little bit. Take this time to slow your breath down a lot. Really deep inhales and exhales. When you're ready for it, we're going to shift ourselves back. Adjust your left toes back behind you, finding that kneeling warrior two. Try to keep pressing your hips forward so you're getting a little stretch through this front of your left hip. And then we're just going to step that right foot in a little bit. Sit down onto your heel. Bring your right arm inside of the leg, and we're just going to lengthen up through that left arm. Deep, slow inhales and exhales. Try to keep pressing that knee open. And then we're going to adjust from here into that side plank. So bringing your left arm down, step the left leg back a little bit. Try to create a good 90 degrees between, or nearly 90 degrees between your left bicep and your side. It'll give you a little bit more space here. You can come into a full side plank or just holding this kneeling side plank. Whatever you did on the other side, maybe try on this side. And we're just going to pulse. Bring the heel back a little bit so you're engaging in your glute and not just using the side of your body. When it feels good, top arm's going to come up. We're going to do 8 of those crunches, so bringing them straight in front of you if you can, and back out. Really focusing on this side. 2 more. And then lower yourself down onto your side, giving yourself a quad stretch here. Deep breaths. On your next exhale, go ahead and release. We'll roll onto our bellies. Press yourself up and back, find downward facing. Take a moment here, bend the knees really deep. Send the booty as high as you can. Keeping that really long spine that you've created here. Maybe you can start to straighten the legs a little. And then we're going to come down to all fours. Take a round of cat and cow. And finding your way back through center, you're going to walk your hands back. Step that right foot forward. We're going to find a shallow lunge here. So you want to keep a 90-degree angle in your hip and in that front leg. Reaching the arms up. Squeeze everything forward. And then see if you can bring the hands in front of you. Lean back a little bit. Creating a nice long stretch down the front of your quad. Leaning forward a little, let's tuck our back toes. See if you can open yourself up and turn around. So we're gonna slide ourselves open and face the back of the mat. Same thing as before, so set it all up, squeeze the booty under you, reach the arms tall, and then see if you can reach them forward and back, lean yourself back. And then go ahead and release. Back toes are tucked. We're going to lift ourselves up. Turn yourself long. Heel toe your feet in a little bit. We're going to come back into our Malasana. So if you need to use your hands, you can. Long deep breath here. As you exhale, let's sink ourselves down. Your knees are pointing out. Adjust yourself to where it's comfortable. See if you can take your palms together at your heart center. Long inhale here. And I want you to really start to focus on lifting the booty a little bit so you're not putting all the weight into your hip joints. And we're going to see if we can lift up off of our heels. And then we'll come back down. So if you need to, you can use your hands on the ground to help you. But if it feels okay, keeping your hands at your heart. A couple times. Last time here, let's see if we can hold. Maybe you can reach your arms up over your head. How does that feel? Horrible. And then come back down, hands in front of you. Just release those shins under you. Come to sitting on the heels and wiggle the hips side to side. Hopefully you feel okay. Nice long inhales and exhales. Just as a reminder to drink lots of water today so you're not ultra sore. We're going to take our knees a little bit wide. Tuck your tailbone under you and lean back slightly so you can get some more stretch in those quads. You can shift one hip up and the other. And then we're going to walk ourselves back forward. Come back to laying on your right side. I want you to have your knees bent right in front of you. You can come bringing the head all the way down. Left arm's going to come up, holding onto the top of your head. We're going to crunch to the side, and you're going to lift your feet up off the ground. Okay, so you can use your right arm to help you if you need to, but we're going to crunch up, bring those feet up, and slowly back down. So take a moment, focus on getting your hips stacked, and then lifting and lowering. And we'll do a couple more. Really focusing in on those deep muscles in the side of your core. If you're feeling some clunkiness in that hip, you're not alone. I'm feeling it too. Last time here. And then coming onto your back. Whew. Adjusting, moving your head around. You can stay right here. I'm gonna just turn myself around so that I'm still facing you for us to do the other side. So your knees are coming out in front of you. Right arm's gonna come over the head, holding onto the top of it. You're gonna crunch yourself up and lift those heels up off of the ground. Your knees are staying down, and then come back down. So just taking this a few times. Strengthening those deep core muscles. The stabilizing muscles for your spine. We'll take one more, and then come back down, roll onto your back. If you spin yourself around, I'm just gonna turn myself back to the other side. Take a moment here, both arms right over your head. You're gonna cross them in opposite directions and see if you can lift them up a little bit. So the cross is gonna be over your face and then back down. So just try and get some space in those shoulders. Just lifting them as high as feels okay, and back down. The next time that you come through center, reach the arms out, and then the opposite arm will come on top, and we'll do the same thing again. So lifting them as high as you can, maybe touching your face with the arms, and then back down. So your chest might get in the way of this a little bit, but just moving them a little, doesn't have to be a big movement. And then we're going to release the arms. Take a moment, get your low back nice and even, your hips are nice and even. We're going to pull into the core. I think we did this last week. So focus on keeping your left foot on the ground, your knee pointing straight up, and you're just going to let your right knee start to drop out, and then bring it back up. So if you need it to feel a little bit more. Really pull in tightly through the core. Keep those core muscles tight as you start to drop that knee out and back in. So you're just like you're trying to get your navel to pull in and up towards your spine. Your low back can stay relaxed off the ground. It might not feel like a lot here, but we're strengthening that low belly and hip flexors. So just keep trying to pull that navel in. You don't have to flatten your back against the ground. And then we'll come to the other side. So keeping that right foot flat, pull in through the belly, like you're trying to put on the tightest pair of jeans that you own. So you're really squeezing in, keep it squeezing as you let your left knee out and in a couple of times. Noticing if the side feels a little bit different than the other. So for me, like I said with my glute, it goes basically from my rib down to my knee. My left side is much weaker than my right. See if you can move a little bit slower. Try to keep those core muscles engaged. We'll do one more time on the side. And then coming back up, right knee into the chest. Take your hand to the back of the thigh, lengthen that leg up nice and long. We're gonna do all of our deep stretches laying on our back. So when it feels good, let's see if we can extend that left leg long. Start to slide your hands up that right leg a little and just hold here. So we're keeping our spine really long by laying on our backs. Try to press up through your heel and just find the start of that stretch. So if you start to lift your hips off the ground or you start to bring your head off the ground, relax everything down. You're gonna play with the way you have your foot. From here, if it feels good, we're gonna bend the knee. Start to take it out to the side, grab hold of your ankle if you can, pulling it towards your pelvis. Maybe this is enough of a stretch for you. If it feels all right, you can take your right hand, start to press that foot down, finding like a half lotus pose. So just trying to kind of rotate that knee down towards the ground as you hold the foot. But if that's uncomfortable, you can keep it up nice and high. This is something to work towards. We'll bring that leg back up. Bend your left leg so that you can bring your right ankle across, just like we did at the start of class. But this time we're going to start to bring that left leg in. Hands can come to the inside, holding onto the back of that left thigh, or you can hold onto your shin. See if you can take your right elbow and press it into your right knee, just creating a little bit more opening here. We're going to keep our hands on the back of our left leg. The right leg's just going to come down to the ground, and we'll do the same step on the other side. So reaching that left leg long. If you can reach your right leg out. Keep your whole spine relaxed on the ground. Maybe play with how you have your foot or move your hands a little bit. So you might notice that you don't have as much range of motion bringing this leg towards you when you have your back flat on the ground. And that might mean just because we have this leg out, it's creating a little bit more tension, or it could be that when you do it sitting, that you're really putting a lot of emphasis on rounding your spine. So this one's really good because it keeps your spine nice and long so that your hamstrings aren't pulling in two directions. Taking 2 more deep breaths here. And then just like before, we're gonna bend the leg. Start to bring your knee out to the side. See if you can grab hold of your ankle with the opposite arm. Bringing your heel towards your pelvis. You can hang out just here, or if it feels all right, using your left hand, start to rotate that knee down towards the bottom of your mat. Maybe you can relax into this half lotus. Or you can keep your knee up a little bit higher out to the side. Focusing in on those deep inhales and exhales. See if you can use the exhales to relax this hip a little bit more. From here, when you're ready, we'll take that ankle across the right thigh. Hands can come to the back of your right thigh, and if it feels good, use your left arm to kind of press that knee outward. You're gonna take your left heel, bring it off that right knee, both knees into the chest. Let's take our hands right under our booties, giving ourselves just a little bit of a shelf so we can just lengthen those legs up over the head. See how this feels. Maybe you can hug them in a little bit closer. Try to keep your low back on the floor. If you can take your hands off the ground, starting to pull your legs a little closer towards you, but I want you to keep your hips planted so you're not rounding. We're not coming towards plow pose. We're just almost doing like a seated forward fold, but you're laying down on your back instead. So again, noticing just how this is different, how this feels different because you're not able to kind of round your spine. You might not be able to get yourself into this as deeply as you thought you could. And then when you're ready, knees into your chest. Just rock around a little. We'll take both feet flat down on the ground, arms out to the sides, just windscreen wiper those knees side to side. And then move yourself back through center. We're just gonna lengthen the legs out nice and long. I like to bring my arms up over the head. And we'll take a few rounds of breath here. So really deeply inhaling. Smooth, long exhale. And just see while you're breathing here if you can maybe get your breath into equal counts. So maybe inhaling for 4. Exhaling for 4. Try to focus on your breath, focus on your body, the way that it feels and all the places where it's touching the ground. Acknowledging any thoughts you have coming into your mind, but just allowing them to pass. As you're breathing here, just noticing any thoughts you have coming up into your mind. If you're finding that you're kind of doing some negative self-talk, try to change that narrative and start saying the opposite about yourself. So if you're saying, I'm no good at yoga, say, I am good at yoga. Giving yourself a little bit of self-love instead of self-hatred. Maybe just repeating that intention in your mind. You can stay here longer if you'd like, or if it feels good. Just starting to bring some slight movement back into your fingers and toes. Maybe moving those slight movements up through your legs, in through your arms. Taking a long, full breath. Gently beginning to bend the knees, rolling over onto one side. Pausing here for a moment. Reminding yourself to bring that intention with you off of your mat into your day. And maybe starting to press yourself up. Finding any seated position that's comfortable for you. Crossing at the ankles, lengthening nice and long through the spine. Take a couple of long, deep breaths in. So we're going to inhale up and exhale out. Same thing again. 2 more times. This time bringing the palms to touch, lowering them down to your heart. Just take a moment to give gratitude to your body. And may the light within me reach out and touch the light within all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a beautiful rest of your day. I hope to see you on Thursday for our slow flow in the morning, and then I have Power Happy Hour at 6 on Instagram. So if you want to join me there, I'll see you there. Thanks for coming.